Chapter 1. A New Hope Near. I quickly rolled out of my military cot, bolted onto the wall as I frantically looked around the familiar place, but the problem was this was nowhere near where I went to sleep the previous night. I actually went to bed in my apartment in downtown Chicago, but now I have woken up in the old bomb shelter my great-granddad owned and kept well stocked as a proud prepper, which was more than half an hour's drive away. Why the fuck am I at the bunker? I couldn't help but mutter, and I honestly looked around for empty alcohol bottles for a second, trying to figure out if I had blackout wasted the night before, even if I am not at all that kind of person. Nope, no signs of alcohol, so what the hell happened? I thought as I threw on a pair of boots hanging on a rack beside the bunker's storm door. It took me a good minute to turn the airtight blast door, and as I swung it open, I blanked in shock. Welp, looks like I'm not in Kansas anymore. I muttered, seeing the derelict building around, and could barely even recognize it as my great-grandfather's old house. Shaking in pure confusion, I went to turn on my cell phone, but the screen wouldn't turn on even though I was sure it was fully charged the night before. Remembering my great-granddad's lessons on how to survive in a bad situation and his experiences in WW2 storming the beaches of Normandy and then later being moved to help push into Germany itself, I recalled his most important lesson. Jake, sit the fuck down and take a deep breath. Okay, now hold your knees and make a plan. I relaxed, and just took mental notes of what I had, which included a fully stocked bunker outfitted for a family of 4 to survive within for up to 5 years maximum, and that's just till the water can no longer be recycled. I quickly went back into the bunker and grabbed what I considered my most prized possessions, which were left to me in my grandfather's will after I begged him to teach me how to shoot with them. He managed to bring an MP40 and a Mauser C96 officer's pistol. But my baby, the gun I literally slept beside after he told me about his old war stories, a Mauser 98K sniper rifle. He was able to bring them back as it was his war spoils during the death march of Normandy. He was one of the first people to climb up past the beaches, past the cliffs, and killed his way into a bunker, and the guns were the personal arms of an officer stationed with him. Well, the first thing he did after the battle was over, and he carried his wounded buddies to the medics, was to scrap off the German party's regalia off of it, so no eagles or swastikas on my weapon. Thanks for that, Granddad. Not to mention, after my great-grandfather passed, he passed down the bunker to my grandfather, who served in Vietnam and likewise stocked it with weapons and ammo from his own war period. After throwing on an army vest and rucksack to carry some food, some of water, and some ammo, I walked out with my K98 on my back, the pistol in a side holster, and I was carrying the MP40 in my hand, albeit strapped over my shoulder to help take some of the weight off. Now, typically the first rule of survival is to stay put so people can rescue you, but Survivor Man didn't give a damn lesson on what happens when you get sent to a parallel world, so I said fuck it and started heading to the town's water tower to get a bird's eye view of what the hell is going on. Fun fact, if you have some simple rock climbing gear, being ropes and those carabiner locks that lock people to ropes, bolted into rock walls, but they would use to lock into ropes tied around the poles leading up the water tower, it was pretty easy to climb such structures. Clang! I whirled around and brought up my submachine gun as I saw a small little rusty as hell robot running out of an abandoned house onto a rundown patio screaming, "Kill the communists!" The machine distracted me for a moment as it broke through the rotten floor and literally fell face first through the rotten patio's wood. Crack! I could hear it struggling to get out of its position, but the wood, although rotten and unable to hold its weight, was capable of keeping it from rolling over, as the machine was almost perfectly held in place as its arms went through the floor as well. "Hey, I'm not a communist," I called out almost questioningly, but I was starting to build a picture as to where I was. I am in Fallout, obviously. I mean, isn't it obvious with the way everything is taken over by nature and the damn robot calling me a communist? I thought, assured of my conjecture. "You are not a communist sympathizer?" It questioned from its bindings in an almost astounded tone of voice. Honestly, it sounded from its tone like every living being he ever met was one. "Yeah, I am proud to have been made in America," I spoke confidently, making the robot stop struggling. With a loud crack, it seemed the wood wasn't even as strong as I thought, as the robot seemed to find hidden strength within it as it gallantly did a push-up off its rusted groaning arms to break the wood around it and sit up. "Ah!" It screamed and pointed at me, making me almost reflexively lift my MP40 from where it was hanging off my shoulder to point at it. But as the machine quickly stood up, it saluted me with the hand he was pointing at me with. "Sergeant Major, it's an honor to see such a well taken care of uniform. Do you have any orders, sir?" I couldn't help thinking about how so-called mentally stable this robot was, if just seeing one of my grandfather's old patches from when he served in Vietnam made it lose its murderous intentions. "Sir, from the way you are outfitted, are you a resistance member?" the robot questioned excitedly. If there's an actual resistance going on right now, maybe his cummy fear is maybe realistic. Damn it, what the hell has happened? I thought, confused as hell. Seeing the robot obviously confused as to why I haven't answered yet, I just shrugged. I haven't gotten the lay of the land, so to speak, so I am not sure which resistance cell would be appropriate for me to approach. The robot cocked its head sideways in a rather human depiction of confusion as it replied, "There's only one resistance encampment within several weeks of walking though." Well shit. I must have taken a wrong turn at Chicago then. I said, the first excuse to come to mind. Oh. You managed to escape the dead zone, that makes sense. I am so fucking lost. Yup, so could you give me directions to the nearest encampment so I can get news and such? I questioned, and soon enough the robot just told me I had to follow the road I was on, and it would lead me to the outpost where I could get more info, as apparently it wasn't welcome near the androids manning the station. Does he mean it's since manning the station? I thought, but shrugged as I started walking in the direction he gestured to. Either way, I would get my answer soon enough, as my trek took almost 2 hours, and at that point, my feet were already starting to hurt in my boots from the march, as I wasn't wearing the right socks for these heavy boots. Finally, I saw the so-called encampment, which almost confirmed my thoughts of this being a total post-apocalypse, as they hadn't rebuilt any of the city around the little city of tents they had erected. Well, time to see what the hell is going on, I thought, and approached the clearly well-armed guards after seeing several travelers only be questioned and not shaken down or anything.